subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. Caught in the chamber, the metal hatch hissed open behind him. For a second, only silence, like the universe held its breath. Then, warm air, laced with something sweet, no, floral, almost alive. Lieutenant Arian Dev stepped into the chamber, boots echoing on ancient steel. The place was alien, literally. The walls glowed with soft blue veins, pulsing like they had blood. In the center of the room stood a transparent pod, half covered in mist. A hum vibrated beneath his feet, low and steady like a sleeping beast. Come on, I've entered the vault. There's structure here. Could be cryotech, Arian whispered into his cum. Only static replied. Of course, ever since he entered this derelict ship orbiting Volyuzhny, the signal had been glitchy. But this room, sealed tight behind for airlocks and a DNA-encrypted door, was untouched for God knows how long. Whatever lay inside was ancient, possibly illegal, possibly alive. He stepped closer. The glass of the pod cleared with a soft hiss, reacting to his presence. Inside, a female figure curled up, delicate, alien, yet hauntingly humanoid. Her skin shimmered like liquid metal under dim lights, with violet patterns that moved slowly over her body, as if ink floating in water. No clothes, no implants, just her, eyes closed, breathing shallow. Arian froze. This isn't tech, he murmured. It's someone. Suddenly, the pod's lights blinked red, then green, then opened. With a rush of air, the lid lifted. The female's eyes snapped open, glowing a furious gold. She gasped and sat up. Arian raised both hands. Whoa, easy. I'm not here to hurt, she screamed. Not a frightened scream. No, it was rage, sharp, shrieking, guttural. She moved with terrifying speed, grabbing a curved blade from under the pod's inner lining. Before Arian could blink, the tip was at his throat. You saw me uncovered, she roared. Arian's heart pounded. Okay. I didn't mean to. Do you understand what you've done? Human. Her voice shook with fury. By the laws of the Valar Accord, you have claimed me. Claimed? Arian blinked. What the hell are you talking about? I don't even know your name. Exactly. And yet I am marked now. You entered my chamber, uninvited, saw my birth skin, touched nothing, yet everything. There is only one path now. Bonding. Wait, bonding. You mean, like marriage? She hissed. Speak that word again, and the walls will kill us both. Arian looked around. The room was shifting. Symbols appeared on the walls. Crimson, lights blinked. A warning, a timer. What's happening? You triggered the ritual, she whispered, stepping back. Her hands trembled. You've bound us in sight. If we do not complete the ceremony, we die. Arian's stomach twisted. You're serious? She stared at him, eyes burning. Would you gamble your life on my bluff? Alarms rang outside. Heavy steps approached. Matai Krang's soldiers. Who's coming? He asked. Her jaw tightened. The Kirit Guard. If they find you with me before the ritual is sealed, they will execute us both. I am considered property until bonded. He clenched his fists. Then let's run. No use. The chamber will not open until the law is obeyed. It recognizes your genetic imprint now. There's no going back. She walked toward a console and placed her palm over a glowing sigil. A circle of golden light expanded on the floor. Stand here. Say nothing. Do as I do. I didn't sign up for do. As I do. Arian stepped into the circle. She knelt. He copied. The light flickered. She closed her eyes and spoke in a language older than anything he'd ever heard. Musical, tragic. Then, silence. A scan line passed over both their bodies. The circle flared bright. Soul bond, unconfirmed. Species conflict detected. Arian blinked. What does that mean? She didn't answer. Instead, she turned slowly and whispered, they will test your DNA. If they find out what you really are, they'll kill you first. Scene transition. Holding Bay, aboard the Valerie ship, Arian sat inside a containment orb, invisible walls, but inescapable. Across from him, the alien female stood behind a curved barrier of energy. Her expression was unreadable. He looked at her. So, do I get your name now? She didn't look up. Jayla. He repeated it softly. Jayla. Okay, I'm Arian. I know. How? She met his gaze, her voice cold. Because this wasn't the first time we met. His breath caught. You mean? But she turned her back. You were supposed to forget. They always do. Wait, what are you saying? Before she could answer, a booming voice echoed across the chamber. A new alien stepped in, 7 feet tall, dressed in ceremonial robes and armor, his eyes like black glass. Let the trial begin. Scene transition, alien courtroom, and amphitheater of pale marble, glowing with runes, hundreds of spectators. In the center, Arian and Jayla, surrounded by floating symbols, watched by high-ranking officials and heavily armed guards. A judge-like figure hovered above. According to Code 9 of the Valari Pact, this human is accused of witnessing, unveiling without consent, punishable by death, unless the union is sanctified through trial bonding. Gasps from the crowd. Arian whispered, "Trial bond, how long does it last?" Jayla replied without turning. 5 lunar cycles. We must convince them this is real, that we are real, and if we fail, they execute us. Together. Romantic, he muttered. She gave a tiny smile. For them, it is mercy. A deep horn sounded. The judge raised his hand. Does the witness accept the trial bond? Arian looked at Jayla. Her face was calm, but her fingers trembled. He stepped forward. I accept. Cheers, screams. Half the crowd was horrified, half amazed. But somewhere, deep in the gallery, one hooded figure nodded silently. The judge said, "So it is written, 5 cycles, no escape. Let the bond begin." The ground shimmered. Dark chains of light wrapped around their wrists. A seal burned onto Arian's palm. Her name, in alien script. Jayla flinched as it appeared on her neck. Arian reached out. Are you? She grabbed his hand. Don't speak, not here. But as they were led away, she whispered just enough. They think this is about culture. But if they knew what's inside you, you wouldn't even reach the door alive. Final scene, private quarters later that night, in a private suite guarded by sentinels. Arian sat on the edge of a strange curved bed. Jayla stood near the wall, arms crossed. He asked, "What did the scan mean? Species conflict? I'm human. You're, well, not. Isn't that expected?" She slowly turned. "Not that conflict." He frowned. "Then what?" "You're not fully human, Arian." He stared at her. She continued, "There's something inside you. A code. A spark. Something ancient. Even the high ones fear it." His voice cracked. "I don't understand." She stepped closer. "You weren't the first Earthborn sent here, but you're the only one they didn't kill. They wiped your memories, buried your past, hid your purpose." She paused. "But I remember you," Arian whispered. "Why?" "Because the last time we were together." Her eyes glistened. "You died saving me." The ritual of binding. Jayla stood still, back against the glimmering wall of the royal suite, as Arian paced with short, angry steps. "So I died, saving you." Arian's voice trembled with frustration. "Why can't I remember anything?" Jayla's golden eyes shimmered, reflecting the blue, ambient light of the room. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she watched him like someone staring at a familiar face in a dream they couldn't fully place. Arian turned sharply. "You said they wiped my memories. Who are they? And why send me back here if I'm that dangerous?" Jayla replied softly, "Because Earth's council believes they've tamed you. That whatever ancient spark was inside you, it's gone now." He shook his head. "But it's not, is it?" "No," she said. "And soon, everyone here will know." Scene transition. The court tower. Dawn, the son of Valor. Primrose, slow and heavy, casting long lavender shadows across the silverstone court tower. A sea of flying beasts soared across the skyline, and below them, the city shimmered like a living circuit board, ancient tech fused with nature. Even Arian, overwhelmed with questions and anger, couldn't deny the beauty. He and Jayla were led by 2 guards through winding halls. At each intersection, they were watched, some faces curious, others clearly hateful. Human presence here wasn't just rare, it was blasphemy. A ceremonial gate opened ahead. Inside, a circular chamber with a glowing ring of light in the center, and dozens of alien officials seated in tiers around it. Watching with grim faces, Jayla whispered, "This is the rite of first binding. If we failed this test, the trial bond is invalid, and we die." Arian's heart raced. What kind of test? "They'll probe our emotions, our truths. They'll try to break us." He exhaled sharply. "You think we can fool them?" She looked at him, expression unreadable. "No, but I think we can survive." They stepped into the circle. Within the binding circle, the test begins. The lights around the circle turned red, then gold. From the floor, a thin mist rose. It carried a strange scent, bitter and sharp like burning leaves and salt water. Arian swayed, dizzy for a moment, then a voice thundered from nowhere, deep, genderless, ageless. Do you acknowledge the soul link by accident or by choice? Jayla responded first, her voice clear. By awakening, by fate. Arian hesitated, then replied, by instinct. I didn't choose to be here, but I choose not to run. The mist thickened, the chamber grew cold. What do you fear most? Witness. A pulse of energy struck Arian's chest. He gasped, images flashing across his mind, earth burning, a woman screaming his name, a flash of himself, with glowing veins, another world, another war. His knees buckled. Jayla reached out instinctively, but the light burned her hand. Answer. Arian stood, barely. I fear, remembering what they made me forget. A ripple of silence passed over the crowd. And you bound one, what do you hide? Jayla flinched. Then, slowly, she lifted her chin. I hide the truth of my birth, that I am Valar blood royal, and yet I kneel in shame, because I survived while others died. Gasps echoed through the circle. A second, louder voice shouted from the tribunal gallery, she lies. The royal bloodline was purged. No heir survived. The mist vanished. The lead judge stepped forward, an elder Valerie, with silver skin and obsidian eyes. You claim royal lineage. Prove it. Jayla didn't flinch. She rolled up her sleeve and exposed a thin strip of glowing skin on her wrist. With her fingernail, she etched a symbol into her own flesh, a spiral that shimmered gold. The elder gasped. Only Valari-born may summon the sigil of the line. Murmurs erupted across the chamber. Some in awe, others enraged, but she must be punished for hiding this truth. Another shouted. She could unite the fallen houses, said another. She could start a war. Arian stepped forward, voice loud and firm. Or maybe she could stop one. Silence. All eyes turned to the human. Arian met their gaze without fear. You talk about laws, honor, heritage, but none of that saved your people from the wars that tore your empire apart. Maybe it's time to let go of fear and start again. The elder narrowed his eyes. And what role will you play in that? Future human. Arian looked at Jayla for the first time. She didn't look like a stranger. She looked like a person, flawed, scared, powerful, and utterly alone. He said, I'll stand beside her, whatever comes. The judge paused, then raised a hand. Right of first binding, confirmed. The golden chains around their wrists shifted, sinking into their skin, disappearing, now permanent, now real. But as they turned to leave, a shadow moved in the crowd. One figure stepped out, slowly removing their hood. It was another human. Jayla froze. Arian blinked in disbelief. The man had Arian's face, but older, hardened, scarred. He said calmly, So, they sent you back again. Scene transition. The hidden chamber beneath the tower. Minutes later, Arian and Jayla stood inside a hidden chamber beneath the tower, dragged there by the duplicate human and his cloaked allies. Arian stared at the older version of himself. Who are you? I'm you, the man said. Version 3, the one who failed. Jayla's knees almost gave out. You were the first, she whispered. Double quotes. No, it was the third attempt. They've sent different versions of you here, each with a slightly different genetic structure, trying to unlock what makes you special. You're the seventh. Arian's voice shook. Why didn't I know this? Because they wanted you to clean, unscarred, more humane. He chuckled bitterly. They think love will make you stable. Stable, for what? Arian asked. The older one leaned forward, voice low. To activate the seed. What seed? Jayla answered for him. The genetic payload hidden in your body. It's not a weapon. It's a key. It can unlock Valeri technology no one else can touch. Machines older than time itself. Systems buried beneath planets. The older Arian continued. Earth doesn't care about peace. They want control. You were never here to observe. You were the delivery system. Arian reeled. That's why they wiped my memory. Why did they keep sending versions of me? Asked, how are you alive? I escaped, faked my death, been living in the outer rings, waiting for the next version to arrive, to warn you. Arian's fists clenched. So what now? I just go along with this. Marriage. Pretend to love her, while Earth steals ancient tech. Jayla's eyes narrowed. Pretend. Arian looked at her, mouth open then shut it. Older Arian stepped back. If you're smart, you'll do what I couldn't. Finish the bond, activate the key, and then run before Earth burns this system to the ground. Jayla turned to Arian. Is that why you bonded with me? Just to survive? Arian looked her in the eye. No, I bonded because it was the only way to save us both. But now I choose to stay with you. She didn't smile, but she didn't look away either. Then, a rumble shook the chamber. A hologram flared to life, a message from Earth Command. Agent Dev, status, bond confirmed. Good, proceed to Phase 2. Deliver subject Jayla to coordinates. Do not engage emotionally. She is property of Strategic Division 9. Ariane stared at the message, heart pounding. Jayla's face turned pale. I'm not property, she whispered. Ariane slowly turned and crushed the hologram projector under his boot. Not, he said, not to me. But just then alarms blared again. The elder Valari had seen the message too, and outside, ships descended from orbit. Final scene in the sky above Velar Prime. Dozens of massive crafts appeared in orbit. Earth fleet insignia, glowing red, a blockade. Jayla gripped Arian's arm. They're here to take me. No, he said. They're here to take everything, she whispered. Then we better run before they realize you're not the delivery system, you're the detonator. The forbidden memories, the city burned. Not in flames, but in light. Thousands of beams from orbital scanners rippled across the skyline of Velar Prime, mapping everything, tagging everything. Every citizen's movement was tracked. Drones hovered above the palace like vultures waiting for the kill. Jayla stood at the window of their private quarters, her face pale, eyes hollow. Arian's voice broke the silence. Earth didn't come here to negotiate, did they? No, Jayla whispered. They came to take me. Arian clenched his fists. You're not a thing. You're not theirs. She turned sharply. You think I don't know that? I've lived my entire life, either hunted or hidden. He walked over. We're not going to let them win. She laughed bitterly. You say that like it's a choice. Arian gently placed a hand on her shoulder. There's always a choice. Her body flinched at the touch, but she didn't pull away. They're not just here for me, she said quietly. They're here for what's inside me. Scene transition, the archive cavern, beneath the Temple of Echoes. 2 hours later, Arian and Jayla descended into the long-forgotten catacombs beneath the Temple of Echoes, an ancient structure at the edge of the capital city. The older Arian version 3 had provided the access key before vanishing again into the shadows. If anyone knew where the truth lived, it was in this place. This chamber predates the current Valari civilization, Jayla explained as they stepped into the darkness. The archives are embedded in living crystals. Some of the memory strands are millions of cycles old. Arian raised a brow. You're telling me this whole place is alive? Jayla reached out and touched a jagged wall, whispering an old chant. Slowly, the crystal shimmered and moved, revealing threads of glowing symbols. Double quotes. No, not alive, she said, but it remembers. They entered the heart of the chamber. In the center stood a strange pedestal made of bone-like ivory, hovering just above the ground. Atop it, a glowing orb pulsed gently. Jayla placed her hand on it. The room flared with golden light. The orb pulsed. Her body stiffened. Arian shouted. Jayla let go, but she was locked in, her eyes wide, lips trembling. The images exploded. In her mind, inside Jayla's memory sequence flashback timeline, she stood on the royal balcony, younger, wearing armor woven from starlight and silver. The city below was not, as it was now, was thriving, vibrant, alive. Beside her stood Arian, but not as she knew him. He was dressed in the colors of the Earth Envoy, clean-shaven, a soldier diplomat. His eyes still held fire, but they were controlled, strategic. They looked at her with something deep, fiction, regret. You know the Earth Council won't wait much longer, he said. I won't give them the keys, Jayla replied. They won't ask again. She turned. Then, let them come. The memory shifted. The city was in ruins. Earth. Ships in the sky. Bombardment. Screams. Betrayal. Jayla lay in a collapsed hall, blood on her face. Beside her Arian, dying. Smoke rising from a wound in his chest. He handed her something, a small cube, glowing faintly. Hide it, he whispered. Even from me. She sobbed. Don't leave me. He smiled. We'll meet again. Back in the archive chamber, Jayla gasped and stumbled back, falling into Arian's arms. Jayla, he said, gripping her. What did you see? Her voice trembled. You died, in my arms, giving me the seed. Arian blinked. Seed, the same genetic code they think is inside me. She nodded. You entrusted it to me, and I I buried it. Then they wiped both our minds and started the cycle again. He helped her stand. That means Earth never had the seed you do. No, we do. Half is in me. The other half was reborn in you. Arian frowned. But why go through all this? Why not just force it out of us? She turned to him. Because the seed only activates with consent, emotion. It responds to truth, trust, maybe even love. Arian looked away. They're trying to force something that can't be forced. Exactly. A loud thud echoed from above Jayla, and Arian looked up. Then another boom, closer. They've found us, she whispered. Arian grabbed her hand. Then we run. Scene transitioned through the catacombs. They sprinted through narrow tunnels lit by ancient lights. The walls echoed with the sound of collapsing stone as Earth's soldiers broke in from above. Jayla breathed heavily. We can't outrun them forever. Arian skidded to a halt. Then we don't. What? We make a stand. Not with weapons. With the truth. Jayla looked unsure. They won't listen. Arian smirked. Then we make them. Scene transition Central Plaza. Vela Prime, public holotower. Arian and Jayla emerged at the center of the city. Rushing toward the towering holostructure that controlled planetary broadcasts, dozens of citizens stared at them in confusion. Guards raised weapons. Arian held up his hands. I need to speak to the people. By whose authority? One guard growled. By the blood of Valor, Jayla said, stepping forward and revealing the royal sigil again, and by the one who died defending it. Arian climbed onto the tower platform. The guards didn't stop him. He tapped into the channel and spoke. Live broadcast begins. People of Vela. My name is Arian Dev. I am human. And I was sent here as a weapon, not by choice. My memory was wiped. My mission was erased. I was meant to deliver something powerful, something dangerous, something ancient. He looked down at Jayla. She nodded. But the truth is, I gave that power up a long time ago. I gave it to her. Gasps from the crowd. Not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to protect it. Even from me. Jayla stepped forward. Earth's council wants me because they think I'm the key. But I'm not. Not alone. Only together can we unlock what they fear. Arian looked up. They fear peace. They fear unity. Because a human and a Valerie bonded is proof their wars mean nothing. They will silence us, Jayla said. Unless we speak now, Arian shouted. Choose fear or freedom. The crowd erupted. In chaos, some cheered, some panicked. The city was on the brink. Then an Earth battleship descended. Its speakers boomed. You are harboring a military asset. Surrender him, or we will engage. Final scene. Jayla's decision. Jayla turned to Arian. If they take you, they'll tear you apart, looking for the seed. But if we activate it first, we win, Arian said. She nodded. Are you ready? Arian hesitated, then reached for her hand. I don't remember loving you before, but I think I do now. She smiled, sad and strong. Together, they placed their hands over their joined sigils. A light burst around them, white-hot and blinding. The entire city stopped. Above them, the battleship's systems fried instantly. It spun, lost control, and retreated. The seed had awakened, not as a weapon, but as a beacon. Echoes from Earth, the sky over Vela Prime rippled as the Earth warship staggered away. Engines failing, its systems fried by the energy burst from the seed's awakening. Below, the entire city stood in stunned silence. Some stared up in fear, others in awe. A few fell to their knees. Arian and Jayla remained at the top of the holotower, hands still glowing, breaths shallow, energy pulsing between them. The seed had activated part within him, part within her, uniting in a flash of light that hadn't just stunned Earth tech, but signaled something deeper. A calling, a ripple, a change. Jayla let go first, staggering backward. Arian caught her. You okay? She nodded, barely. I didn't know it would feel like that. Arian looked at his hand. No burn, no pain, but the light still shimmered just beneath the skin. That wasn't a weapon, he said. No, Jayla whispered. It was a signal. Scene transition, deep orbit. Earth command ship, indomitable high above. Aboard Earth's flagship, panic-reigned. Commander Reva Clark stood at the center of the war deck, surrounded by sparking consoles, confused officers, and red emergency lights. Status on the seed. She barked. Data tech shouted back. It's live, fully awakened. Resonance confirmed across 7 sectors. Valar Prime isn't just lit, it's broadcasting across subspace. Riva clenched her jaw. To whom? Silence. Then another voice, cold and unfamiliar, came from the shadows of the war room. A tall man in a jet-black uniform stepped forward. No rank, no name badge. Let me speak to the council, he said. Riva's eyes narrowed. This is a military operation. Not anymore, the man replied, tapping a holochip on his wrist. A symbol flared above him, a triangle inside a circle. The mark of Division Theta, Earth's most secretive Black Ops agency. The techs and officers stiffened. The man continued, initiate Protocol V7, terminate the bonded pair, erase the city if needed, recover the seed. Riva blinked. They've turned it on. We can study it, learn. No, the man said calmly. We don't study what we can't control. Scene transition. Underground resistance bunker. Valar Prime, back on the surface. Arian and Jayla had fled the plaza with help from a rogue Valerie pilot who claimed to be part of something called the Undrowned, a hidden resistance, made up of citizens who'd never accepted Earth's slow domination after the war. The bunker smelled of dust, old metal, and hope. Scattered tech, ancient weaponry, half-dismantled drones. Dozens of eyes watched Arian like he was a living bomb. Maybe he was. Jayla sat quietly, still pale from the energy drain. Arian stood at a terminal, a small crystal cube in his palm. One, Jala had recovered from the archive cavern. This was from the version of me that died, Arian asked. She nodded. He gave it to me, told me to hide it, said one day you'd come for it. Arian placed the cube into the terminal slot. It clicked, whirred, then hummed. A projection flared to life. A hologram appeared. Arian but older, scarred, tired. Version 1. If you're watching this, it means the loop finally broke, that the seed awakened, and that she's still alive. Arian and Jayla leaned closer. I've lived through this story 3 times, once as a diplomat, once as a spy, once as a lover, and each time, I died before I could finish it. But every time Jayla remembered, even when they erased her, she remembered. Jayla's hand trembled. They'll try to kill you, both of you, but don't fight them with their weapons. Fight them with your bond, with your humanity. That's the one thing they never understood, why the seed only activates when we choose each other. The hologram flickered. Find the obsidian gate. It's not just a myth. It's buried under the corestone cavern coordinates embedded in this message. That's where the seed must be planted. The image of version 1 faded. Jayla whispered, he believed we'd succeed. Arian clenched his jaw. Then we will. Scene, transition corestone cavern. 19 hours later, after hours of hiding, flying through canyons in a stolen, undrowned skimmer, and bypassing Earth patrols, Arian and Jayla reached the coordinates. The entrance was hidden beneath a collapsed ancient temple, guarded by 2 mechs fused with vines and roots, like they had slept for centuries. Jayla walked forward and placed her palm on the stone. The wall shimmered and dissolved. Beyond it, darkness, cool air, and a pulse, faint but steady. They stepped in. The cavern widened into a vast dome. Thousands of glowing vines lined the walls, pulsing with the same energy as the seed had. In the center stood a monolithic arch carved of obsidian glass, tall, jagged, ancient. Symbols covered it, glowing softly. The obsidian gate, whispered. Arian started. What is it? She looked at him, voice steady. A device older than our people, older than Earth's memory. It was built to end wars not with destruction, but with understanding. The seed is its key. Arian stepped toward it, but the moment his foot crossed the inner circle, the gate flared and from behind the arch, 3 figures stepped out. Earth, soldiers, Black Ops gear, helmets, masked, weapons aimed. And in the center Commander Riva. She didn't hesitate. Jayla, Valar, Arian, Dev, stand down and surrender now. Arian raised his hands. You don't want to do this. You're right, Riva said. I don't, but they do. She nodded to the shadows. From behind her stepped the man from Division Theta. Jayla stepped in front of Arian. You can't control the gate. We don't need to, the Theta agent said. We'll destroy it and extract the seed from what's left of your baftas. Arian stared at him down. You really think that's how this ends? It's how it always ends. Then Riva's voice cracked slightly. You weren't supposed to bond. You weren't supposed to remember. Arian blinked. You were part of it. The resets. Riva's lips trembled. I ran the first program. I sent version 1. I thought we could build peace with control. I was wrong. The Theta agent sneered. Sentiment makes you weak, and then gunfire, but not from Riva. She turned and shot the Theta agent in the back. The soldiers froze. Aryan grabbed Jayla and pulled her behind the gate. Do it now, she shouted. We have to finish the bond. They placed their hands together over the arch's center. The gate flared with pure white energy. The cavern shook. Riva ran toward them, shielding them from the stunned soldiers. They're sending nukes from orbit, she screamed. They'd rather glass the planet than let the gate awaken fully. Aryan and Jayla pressed their palms into the obsidian. A hum, a glow, and then the gate opened. Not physically but in the mind. In their hearts, they saw each other fully. Memories returned. Pain, laughter, love, war, loss. 3 lifetimes of truth. Tears ran down Jayla's face. Aryan whispered, "It was always you." She replied, "Every version, every time." And the gate responded. A shockwave blasted from the cavern, not outward but upward, into orbit. It struck the warships, fried every nuke, overrode every weapon system, burned only one thing: fear. Final scene. Later, in the silence after, the skies were clear. The Earth fleet is gone. The gate closed. Now asleep again. Aryan and Jayla stood hand in hand on the cliff above the city. Riva sat nearby, bruised and silent. No longer a commander, just a woman who'd tried to control fate and lost. Jayla looked at Aryan. "It's over," she said. He shook his head. "No, it's just beginning." She raised a brow. "Hope." He smiled. "Maybe, or maybe, discovery. The price of truth." The wind atop the ridge howled with a quiet finality. The skies above Vela Prime were blue for the first time in decades. No ships, no surveillance, no threat looming like a guillotine. But Aryan Dev stood silent, hands clenched at his side. Jayla, a few paces away, stared into the valley where the obsidian gate now lay dormant, its black frame fused with the earth, resting after the impossible. The wave of light it had released had shattered the Earth blockade, neutralized their weapons, and for a fleeting moment, united the planet's people in awe. But peace was not permanent. Not yet. Behind them, deep within the resistance hall, arguments boiled. The Valerii were not all celebrating. Some called Aryan a savior, others a thief, a virus, a human mistake that should have died long ago. And Aryan could feel the distance growing, not just between him and Valere, but between him and Jayla. She hadn't spoken since they left the cavern. Not truly. Scene, transition, resistance, war council. 2 days later. "You can't be serious," shouted Jexar, the resistance general. His 4 eyes burned with fury, mandibles twitching in disgust. "You want to entrust them, a human and a fallen royal, with the fate of the entire planet." Jayla stood in full armor now, no longer a fugitive, but a leader. "They've proven themselves by awakening ancient tech that none of us fully understand." Jekka roared. "The gate didn't save us, it chose us, and we don't even know what it wants." Aryan stepped forward. "It didn't choose you, it chose what Jayla and I represent. Not species, not power, but choice, unity." Another voice echoed from the crowd, soft, precise. "And yet unity comes at a cost." Heads turned. From the back of the hall, cloaked in white and gold, stepped High Arbiter Selvin, once head of the Royal Scientific Order, now the self-declared guardian of Valerie traditions. He spoke calmly, hands clasped behind his back. "The obsidian gate is not a key to peace. It is a prison door, and you've just opened it." Gasps filled the hall. Jayla stiffened. "What are you saying?" Selvin stepped into the light. His face was older than anyone remembered, metallic scars running from temple to jaw. "The gate was built not to awaken understanding but to contain something. Something born from an experiment gone wrong." He turned to Aryan. "From your people." Scene transition. Secret chamber beneath the Temple of Mirrors. Aryan followed Jayla and Selvin into the temple's deepest vaults. Light from ancient tech flickered above them, casting strange shadows. There, sealed behind a transparent wall of crystal, floated a being, not dead, not alive. Its body was humanoid, but translucent veins of light pulsed through it. Its eyes were shut, but Aryan felt something, watching. "It's human," he whispered. "No," Selvin said. "It's what humanity once became before they turned back. A remnant from your civilization's first space age. A seed-bearer that went rogue." Jayla's voice cracked. "Why is it locked away?" "Because it couldn't be destroyed. Selvin said. Its consciousness infects systems, minds, realities. Arian started. But what does this have to do with me? Selvin turned, his expression grim. Because the seed inside you is linked to it. You're the anchor, the last fragment. If the gate fully opens again, it will wake. Jayla gripped Arian's hand. Then we shut it down. Selvin stepped closer. You can't. The only way to prevent awakening is to sever the link. How? Arian asked. By ending the bond, the Arbiter replied coldly, and remove the seed from both of you. Arian blinked. We'd die. Selvin nodded. Yes, but the galaxy would live. Scene transition later that night. Hidden garden of echo trees, under the silver glow of twin moons. Arian sat alone among the whispering leaves of the echo trees, their tall stalks glowing with soft pulses. Each tree carried memories stored in their bark, in their roots, living history. Jala found him there, arms wrapped around herself. You okay? She asked. Arian didn't answer. She sat beside him. They sat in silence until he finally said, What if they're right? She looked at him. What if this connection between us, was never about love, or fate, or even survival? What if it was just a trigger? A tool for something else? Jayla's voice was soft. Then it's still ours to choose what we do with it. Arian turned to her. I can't ask you to die for this. She smiled. Then don't ask. Just stay. He looked at her face, fierce, soft, complicated. He had known her for days, yet he knew her like he'd known no one. I'm scared, he said. Me too. They kissed slow quiet, not for passion, but for grounding. Then the trees flared. Voices whispered. A new memory emerged from the roots, playing in flickers above the branches. It was Jayla as a child, speaking with a young boy, dark hair. Human. Arian. She gasped. That's us. They knew each other as kids. Arian muttered. No, Jayla said. We met before the first version, before the programs, before the gate was sealed. You and I were chosen even before the experiments. No, Jayla said slowly, realization dawning. We chose each other first, and they used it. Scene transition. The betrayal back in the resistance hall. The council voted to end the bond, to extract the seed, to prevent extinction. They stormed the Temple of Mirrors that night with stun weapons. Orders from Selvin, Arian, and Jayla were waiting. We're not going to let you cut this out of us like it's a disease, Arian said, standing atop the gate's threshold. Selvin stepped forward. Then you doom us all. Jayla drew her blade. No, we free ourselves. The obsidian gate flared not in anger, but in choice. It lifted Arian and Jayla off the ground, suspended in light. Memories, millions of them, rushed across the room. Memories of the seed bearer, of the experiments, of Earth's betrayal, of Jayla and Arian's love across time. Selvin screamed, shielding his eyes. You were never the danger. The gate boomed. It pointed not to Arian but to Selvin. What? Arian shouted. Jayla's eyes widened. He tampered with the seed. He linked himself to the entity to gain power. The gate flashed. Selvin screamed and crumbled, his body burning from within, consumed by the very force he once sought to control. And then silence. Final scene. The decision. The gate dimmed. Its voice calmed. You have done what no one else could. Chosen each other freely, across time, through fear. The cycle ends. Arian and Jayla floated down gently. The seed dissolved inside them, not gone, but gifted, no longer a weapon, a legacy. And the gate, it whispered one final message. The next war will not be of worlds, but of hearts. As dawn broke, Arian looked at Jayla. No more running. She smiled. No more dying. The choice that ends all wars. The sky over Vela Prime was quiet. For the first time in centuries, there were no battleships, no sirens, no orders barked over citywide intercoms. The obsidian gate stood sealed once more, its surface pulsing faintly like a sleeping heart. Life across the capital moved with hesitant oars, if afraid peace was a dream that might shatter at any moment. Atop the Temple of Mirrors, Arian Dev and Jayla Vaylor stood side by side, watching the sunrise that painted the distant dunes. Golden red. Neither spoke, because both of them knew what was coming. The obsidian gate had not just silenced Earth's weapons, it had spoken, and the galaxy had heard. Scene transition. Earth High Command, Council Chambers. 48 hours later, the council chamber buzzed with tension. Holographic faces hovered above their seats, representatives of Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, And even the old colonies of the Perseus arm, they argued, shouted, accused, fears. The gate is alien tech activated by unverified human Valerie pairing. They've weaponized empathy. Empathy. Commander Clark's fleet is gone. You expect us to do nothing. The chairwoman of the Earth Council, Kanya Rowe, raised her hand. Silence. I've seen the footage, she said calmly. I've read the ancient records. That gate isn't a weapon. It's a test. One we failed centuries ago. And now, someone passed it. Someone human. Someone Valerie. Together. The silence deepened. She looked at the Black Ops commander, standing to her right. Send the transmission. Ask for a meeting. Madam Counselor, the man said hesitantly. They may refuse. Kanya Rowe's voice was quiet. Then we'll finally know who we are. Scene transition orbit above Vela Prime. The Earth envoy ship, sleek and silver, hovered above the atmosphere. Its systems had been cleared by Valerie Tech, scanned, and escorted in by Resistance pilots who still weren't sure this wasn't a trick. Inside the ship, Arian paced slowly, dressed in a simple black suit, no armor, no weapons, just presence. Jayla stood beside him in her ceremonial armor, now stripped of insignias, equal footing. No titles, no chains. You ready? She asked. No, Arian said honestly. She smiled. Good. Means you're not a politician. He gave a short laugh. Let's end this. Scene transition. The meeting. The chamber aboard the envoy ship was circular, lit by a soft glow, surrounded by living walls grown from Velari crystaltic. Earth delegates entered Kanya Rowe, flanked by Reva Clark and other high-ranking officials. Jayla and Arian stood at the center. No weapons, no guards. Just words. Kanya was the first to speak. You could have wiped us out. Arian tilted his head. We didn't want to. You would have done it to us. Reva spoke next. Why activate the gate? Why now? Jayla stepped forward. Because it was time. We've been trapped in a cycle. Experiments, resets, silence, fear running the show. We had to break it. And the seed? Asked another delegate. Is it still active? Arian nodded. But it is no longer programmable, no longer controlled. It responds only to the truth, only to willful unity. Silence fell. Kanya sat down slowly. Then what do you want? Arian and Jayla looked at each other. Then Arian turned to the council. We want Earth to leave Vela. Tension spiked in the room. He continued. Not in shame, not in punishment, but to learn how to build something better. Not through conquest, through connection. Jayla added, you taught us fear. Now let us teach you hope. The delegates looked round, stunned. Reeva leaned forward. And if we say no, Arian didn't blink, then the gate will. Scene transition. Galactic response broadcast. 3 days later, a message transmitted from Vela Prime reached every human and Valerie colony across known space. It was simple. A message from Jayla and Arian. We have stood on opposite sides of history. You called us aliens. We called you invader. But neither of us are the monsters we feared. Fear is the monster. The Obsidian Gate is not a door to destruction. It is a mirror. And now, we offer you the chance to look into it. Not as enemies. Not even as allies. But as equals. As choices. The seed has awakened. Not to divide, but to remind us. We are not alone. And we never were. Scene transition. 3 months later, the Foundation Summit, a grand city, was built at the edge of the old war zones. A joint human Valari capital named Cavern, meaning begin again in both languages. Jayla and Arian didn't take seats of power, they took seats at the table, and slowly, painfully, beautifully old enemies became cautious partners. Earth began recalling warships. Colonies opened dialogues, and the seed, now stable, began being studied by both species together, not to weaponize, but to understand. But not everything was healed. Some humans called Arian a traitor. Some Vailari still whispered that Jayla should have stayed hidden, but none could deny what they'd done. Final scene, the last message from the gate. One quiet night, Arian returned to the Obsidian Gate alone. It had been silent for months, dormant, but as he placed his palm on the stone, it lit once more and spoke, not with words, but feeling. A message in the mind, a vision, a future. Jayla, old, gray-haired, laughing beside children. Arian, scarred, weathered, peaceful. A world, not perfect, but honestly. He stepped back, breath trembling. Then the gate gave one final phrase. Humanity was never about species. It was always about choice. And this time, you chose well. The end.